To be bewitched is not to be saved, though all the magicians and athletes in the world should pronounce it to be so. Intoxication is a sad business, at least for a philosopher. You must either drown yourself altogether, or else when sober again, you will feel somewhat fooled by yesterday's joys, and somewhat lost in today's vacancy. The man who would emancipate art from discipline and reason is trying to exclude rationality, not merely in art, but in all existence. He is vexed at conditions of excellence that make him conscious of his own incompetence and failure. Rather than consider his function, he proclaims his self-sufficiency. A way foolishness has of revenging itself is to excommunicate the world. It is in the world, however, that art must find its level. It must vindicate its function in the human commonwealth. What direct acceptable contribution does it make to the highest good? What sacrifices, if any, does it impose? What indirect influence does it exert on other activities? Our answer to these questions will be our apology for art, our proof that art belongs to the life of reason. When moralists deprecate passion and contrast it with reason, they do so, if they are themselves rational, only because passion is so often guilty, because it works havoc so often in the surrounding world, and leaves, among other ruins, a heart high sorrowful and cloyed. Were there no danger of such after effects within and without the sufferer, no passion would be reprehensible. Nature is innocent, and so are all her impulses and moods when taken in isolation. It is only on meeting that they blush. If it be true that matter is sinful, the logic of this truth is far from being what the fanatics imagine, who commonly propound it. Matter is sinful only because it is insufficient, or is wastefully distributed. There is not enough to go round among the legion of hungry ideas. To express or enact an idea is the only way of making it count, but its embodiment may mutilate it if the material is not propitious. So an infant may be maimed at birth when what injures him is not being brought forth, but being brought forth in the wrong manner. Matter has a double function in respect to spirit. Essentially, it enables the spirit to be, yet chokes it incidentally. Men, sadly misbegotten, are those who are thwarted at every step by the time's penury, may fall to thinking of matter only by its defect, ignoring the material ground of their own aspirations. All flesh will seem to them weak, except that forgotten piece of it, which makes their own spiritual strength. Every impulse, however, had initially the same authority as this censorious one, by which the others are now judged and condemned. If a practice can point to its innocence, if it can absolve itself from concern for a world with which it does not interfere, it has justified itself to those who love it, though it may not yet have recommended itself to those who do not. Not art, more than any other considerable pursuit, more even than speculation, is abstract and inconsequential. Born of suspended attention, it ends in self. It encourages sensuous abstraction, and nothing concerns it less than to influence the world, nor does it really do so in a notable degree. Social changes do not reach artistic expression until after their momentum is acquired and their other collateral effects are fully predetermined. Scarcely is a school of art established giving expression to prevailing sentiment, when this sentiment changes and makes that style seem empty and ridiculous. The expression has little or no power to maintain the movement it registers, as a waterfall has little or no power to bring more water down. Currents may indeed cut deep channels, but they cannot feed their own springs, at least not until the whole revolution of nature is taken into account. The aesthetic interest is more than innocent. It is liberal, not being concerned with material reality so much as with the ideal. It has no ulterior motives. In aesthetic activity, we have, accordingly, one side of rational life. Sensuous experience is dominated there as mechanical or social realities ought to be dominated in science and politics. Such dominion comes of having faculties suited to their conditions, and consequently finding inherent satisfaction in their operation. The justification of life must be ultimately intrinsic, and wherever such self-justifying experience is attained, an ideal has been, in so far, embodied. To have realized it, in a measure, helps us to realize it further, for there is a cumulative fecundity in those goods which come not by increase of force or matter, but by a better organization and form. Art has met, on the whole, with more success than science or morals. Beauty gives men the best hint of ultimate good which their experience as yet can offer, and the most lauded geniuses have been poets, as if people felt that those seers, rather than the men of action or speculation, had lived ideally and known what was worth knowing. That such should be the case, if the fact be admitted, would indeed prove the rudimentary state of human civilization. The truly comprehensive life should be the statesman, for whom perception and theory might be expressed and rewarded in action. The ideal dignity of art is therefore merely symbolic and vicarious. As some people study character in novels and travel by reading tales of adventure, because real life is not yet so interesting to them as fiction, or because they find it cheaper to make their experiments in their dreams, so art, in general, is a rehearsal of rational living, and recasts an idea, a world which we have no present means of recasting in reality. Yet this rehearsal reveals the glories of a possible performance better than do the miserable experiments until now executed on the reality. When we consider the present distracted state of government and religion, there is much relief in turning from them to almost any art, where what is good is altogether and finally good, and what is bad is at least not treacherous. When we consider further the senseless rivalries, the vanities, the ignominy that reign in the practical world, how doubly blessed it becomes to find a sphere where limitation is an excellence, where diversity is a beauty, and where every man's ambition is consistent with every other man's, and even favorable to it. It is indeed so in art, for we must not import into its blameless labors the bickerings and jealousies of criticism. Critics quarrel with other critics, and that is a part of philosophy. With an artist, no sane man quarrels, any more than with the color of a child's eyes. As nature, being full of seeds, rises into all sorts of crystallizations, each having its own ideal and potential life, each a nucleus of order and a habitation for the absolute spirit, so art, though in a medium poorer than pregnant matter, and incapable of intrinsic life, generates a semblance of all conceivable beings. What nature does with existence, art does with appearance. And while the achievement leaves us, unhappily, much where we were before in all our efficacious relations, it entirely renews our vision and breeds a fresh world in fancy, where all form has the same inner justification that all life has in the real world, as no insect is without its rights, and every cripple has his dream of happiness. So no artistic fact, no child of imagination is without its small birthright of beauty. In this freer element, Competition does not exist, and everything is Olympian. Hungry generations do not tread down the ideal, but only its spokesmen and embodiments that have cast in their lot with other material things. Art supplies constantly to contemplation what nature seldom affords in concrete experience, the union of life and peace.